In this video, we are going to rock one-step equations involving addition and subtraction of decimals. Before I jump into these problems, I'm going to mention that you are probably, if you haven't already started doing it, going to be using calculators to help you as a tool to simplify problems involving decimals. The reason being is decimals can sometimes detract from the main problem-solving piece, which in this case is solving equations. If you are still doing decimals by hand, that's great, but when it starts to become a 2 or 3 minute detour off of the main part of the problem, that's when you know you might want to use your calculator to help out. So just a little word to the wise. With that said, I'm going to do this with mental math and using a little technique I call a side quest. Let's dive into it. So we've got m plus 3.9 is equal to 6.2. Like in other one-step equations involving addition, we want to undo addition by subtraction. So we're going to subtract 3.9. Now notice that the decimal does not change. So the fact that there's decimals there does not change the fact that we're solving by undoing addition with subtraction. So don't be scared by the type of number that we have. You want to isolate m, that's your goal, and that's what we've done. Now that you've isolated m, now we focus on this piece right here, 6.2 minus 3.9. So let's see, if we do that out, you're going to get 2.3. You can do that with a calculator or with mental math. Now, if you're going to do that by hand, I suggest that you take that problem off to the side and do like a little side story. Figure out, like in a movie, figure out what that side story is, that little extra character is, and how they add to the main story, and then add it back into the main story. We don't have to process everything all at once. So figure this out on the side. 6.2 minus 3.9, we'd have to borrow from the 6 to get 5. That makes that 12 tenths, minus 9 tenths is 3 tenths. 5 minus 3 is 2, which confirms our answer. So again, just showing you that if you need to do that little bit of side math, please take it all the way off to the side so that this equation does not become overburdened with lots of extra work. Okay, c minus 8.2 equals negative 7. We're going to undo subtraction by adding 8.2 to both sides. Plus 8.2, and we're going to do plus 8.2 on both sides. That undoes the minus 8.2, again, focusing on undoing that operation. That leaves us with c equals, now focus on 8.2 added to negative 7. We're adding a positive number to a negative number, so we subtract, keep the sign of the bigger number. That's going to end up being 8.2 minus 7, which is 1.2. Again, with a calculator or a little bit of mental math like I just did, or you can go off to the side and do decimal work like we did here. Let's look at C. So in C, oh no, we're given one of those equations where we have a number to the left and then everything else is on the right. No sweat, we'll solve it like normal. You want to undo addition by 47.92. So we are going to subtract 47.92 from both sides. Again, don't worry about what 2 minus 47.92 is. Your focus right now is on undoing this and getting x alone. Okay, so we've accomplished getting x alone, so now we're going to see what 2 minus 47.92 is. That you can totally rock with mental math. In my brain, I'm really looking at it as 47.92 minus 2. And then I know that the negative value here, right, it's almost like I'm doing 2 plus a negative 47.92. So I know that the negative is going to be what I will get out of this, because 47.92 is way more negative than 2 is. So we subtract and we get negative 45.92. And that's all there is to it. Not bad, not bad. Last but not least, b plus a negative 1.7 equals negative 3.3. We want to undo plus a negative number. That's the same as undoing subtraction. You can think of it that way. To undo subtraction, we add 1.7, right? So we add that, and of course we're going to do the same operation to both sides. Okay, doing that operation on the left side again, isolates b. They cancel out, equaling to 0, and we're left with b equals, in my head, I'm doing 3.3 minus 1.7, but noting that the bigger number is negative, so I know my answer will be negative. 3.3 minus 1.7 is 1.6. So our answer is negative 1.6. Just to remind you, with all of these equations, you can and should be checking your answers. Didn't want to take up tons and tons of time in this video, delaying you from seeing how to do the problems by checking each one. So now at the end of this video, I'll show you a check of one of these problems. So let's do a check, let's see, on this last one that I just did. So we have that our answer is negative 1.6. If that is the truth, then if I plug negative 1.6 back into B, so I'll do that over here. So if I do negative 1.6 plugged in for B, and I add on to it everything else that was originally in the problem, I should get negative 3.3. And whether you use a calculator or do it mentally, we do get that negative 3.3 is on the left side now, which is equivalent to the right side. So we know that this equation is true as long as B is equal to negative 1.6. That's all I got for you peeps. Notice the relationship, very similar to solving equations, one step, addition and subtraction with integers and decimals. The operations are all the same.